Hello everyone and welcome to Extreme Graphics Tech, the worst name for a YouTube channel. My name is Angelo and today I finally have some test results with the Intel Arc 750. Even though the first actual test I did was in my previous video talking about a Plague Tale Requiem. So if you haven't seen that video, I will invite you to go and check it out. So, you know, I've been doing some tests with this card, right, just to see how it behaves. And believe me when I say this, I really want Intel to thrive. I really want Intel to be a competitor. And, you know, you can see some glimpse of powerful and geniality with this card, but it's all like behind a very dark veil that we need to discuss in this video. But before going to that, let's just see my benchmarks. They are all DirectX 12 games, I'm not wrong, because I wanted to give this card the best chance. We know that this card has some problems with older DirectX and so on, but in this particular case and first approach, I wanted to give it the best chance to this card. So let's go and see my results and then we are going to talk about it. Starting with Cyberpunk, so I put the game at 1440p medium, but I couldn't get stable 60 FPS, so I had to use FSR, and even so, while driving, I cannot get to stable 60 FPS on this particular game. Unless I am on the first person not driving around, that's where then the game gets to the 60 FPS no problems. As we know, while driving around, for some reason it's much more heavier on the GPU than it is when you are just playing in first person mode. There could be areas obviously where this is going to change, and you know, more action oriented areas where probably this will drop under 60, but at least for now it seems to be running quite good, even though I don't think it's running as good as a 3060 would, at least for some comparisons I've been doing by checking other results. So then I did actually activate it, ray tracing, and this is where the car shines, because even keeping FSR and the 1440p resolution, I was able to activate every single RT option and still get at least 30 FPS. And this is a card that seems that the more you ask, the more it gives. So when I put the game at 1080p, I don't think it's giving me the same behavior as I put it as a 1440p. It's like, you know, you need to actually demand more so the card can give you what is essentially better performance. Not that it's better at 1440p, but comparison wise it seems to behave better. So considering a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X is running this game at 1440p 30 FPS with only two options of RT available, which are Shadow, this is a great result. So the same can be said for Dying Light 2. Unfortunately, I could not make MSI Afterburner work on this game, so you have the results on the top right corner that I was using this Steam overlay. So as you can see here, the game's behaving quite good at 1440p, for not RT in this case, and no FSR, and the game is running normally over 60 FPS. We can even get and hit 80 FPS. So this means this game, from my point of view, I haven't tested with the 3060, but it's running quite good, and I don't know if the game is very well optimized or in particular the drivers are very good with this game. But anyway, the games run really good if you are going to play in Dying Light with Intel Arc 750 or the more powerful 770. You should have a very good experience with this card and this game, which as you can see is running fabulous. A big fan of RT as I am, I had to test this game with RT, and once again, when you ask the more from this card, the better it performs. In this case, yes, I had to activate FSR and put it in balance to be able to, you know, have a smooth experience. And unfortunately, I was testing and I was in a very close part of the game. However, you can see that you are always running over 50 FPS. We could get probably better performance if we disable some option. At the moment is every single RT option active, and even the flashlight is RT, so that means there is a lot of pressure put on the car to behave. But you know, the fact is, once again, we are playing at 60 FPS. When we compare this result with Xbox or PlayStation 5, we are playing at a better quality and resolution than what they give you in general, especially when it comes to performance. So I think, you know, this is a win also for the Intel Arc. Well, here, this game is where I got my first disappointment. To begin with, this game has clear graphical issues with reflections and other things going on that are completely wrong in here, and it's not just because of the ray tracing. To begin with, as you can see, the ray tracing performance and performance in general in this game is not good at all. You can see here the problems, and these are a combination of the ray tracing and even the XESS, which I activated to give the best chance to this game, and even so, the game was not able to keep 1080p with very high quality and RT on high, not very high. You can see the game is not right. Something is wrong with this game and the drivers, and there was a point even where the game stopped for several seconds and just stopped not doing anything and I had to wait for a little bit until it picked up. So I don't know what's going on with this game and the Intel Arc, but there is clearly some driver issues with this game. So then I said, okay, let's try this game without, you know, ray tracing and just see how it behaves. And once again, it wasn't that bad. You know, we could sustain 60 frames per second from time to time, but it was not a smooth experience, at least from my point of view. Without ray tracing, this game should have behaved better. So I know the Intel i5-10400F is not the culprit here, because I tested this game with other cars and we can get 60 FPS very stable when not using ray tracing. So if this is the case, we are not using ray tracing, and I even gave XESS quality to make the game run smoother, even though yes, I upped the resolution to 1440p, but the car is still, you know, not performing correctly. But this is due, as I said, to some graphical issues and glitches and behavior that this game has with this driver. So this needs to work out. Intel needs to work out what's going on with this game. Now, a game that honestly surprised me, behaved quite good, was Red Dead Redemption 2. Honestly, this game is running very, very good, and I'm not using FSR. One thing that happened to me is that when I used FSR to try to, you know, smooth out the frame rate, the graphics went like really bad. So there seems to be a glitch with this game on Intel cards with FSR, so I couldn't use that. But as you can see, we are getting 60 frames per second on the highest preset that the games offer. Okay, this is important because I checked with Random Gaming HD and he was using like the Xbox equivalent setting. So I would say this is behaving correctly. I was just doing that to be sure that I had no issues in terms of configuration. So in this case, you can see the games is behaving at 1440p, almost at 60 frames per second on the highest preset. If you are willing to low something, or maybe if FSR work for you, you will get a smooth 60 frames per second. Now we get to Doom Eternal, and here is another of those games where performance is not quite right. I have RT on, but I also have dynamic resolution scaling on, and I am playing a 1440p Ultra Nightmare. But when I was checking other results, I can see that this car can get, the 3060 can get up to 120 FPS on the exact same configuration without even using dynamic resolution scaling. So this is the part where I say, or I think this is the problem. You are never sure if the problem is the driver or is that this is the most the car can do. So some games behave equally or better than a 3060, and then other games are like super different than a 3060, so you are not ever sure what's going on, and this is the thing where you start wondering, so where is the problem? So as you have seen, this car has this performance all over the place, and that is the main problem. Because when I was seeing those performance, and you know, one game behave in one way and then another game behave in a completely different way, you are wondering, is my system not good enough for testing this car? Am I doing something wrong? And I want to say, yes, I do I did have a resizable bar active when I was playing and testing this car, because that's a necessity. If you don't have resizable bar, don't even think about buying a 750 or any other intercar at the moment. So, as I was saying, I had to double check my results to the point of going to the Random Gaming HD YouTube channel. You should go and check it out. It's a very good channel. I like it. You know, because he tested this car like some days ago, a week ago maybe, and then I saw the results, and I have to say they are in check with what I got. Obviously, I used different settings. For example, for Red Dead Redemption, he's using Xbox Series equivalent settings, while I was using Ultra settings, and for Cyberpunk, something similar. So, even though the results are not exactly the same, they are in check with the settings. So I think they are all good, because I couldn't believe these differences. For example, and the worst part is that you can see that it runs so well on some areas. For example, ray tracing. Oh my god, this car does really good ray tracing considering it's Intel first try. This car is at least 3 times better, from my point of view, than the equivalent ray tracing car for AMD, which AMD is a GPU manufacturer for so many years, and is embarrassing the level of ray tracing performance they have with RDNA 2. I hope they really improve ray tracing with RDNA 3. Well, at least particularly, I am a very ray tracing guy and interested in the technology, so I know some people don't care. But in that case, you could see, for example, when we were checking Dying Light 2, that we could play with ray tracing, full ray tracing on. And not everything ray trace was set to on and to the highest level, and we could achieve even more than 60 frames per second at 1440p sometimes. Yes, using FSR, but even then, that's a lot more than you could get for an equivalent 6600 XT, for example. And this is where problems arise for this card. And it's because if you are not interested in ray tracing, the rasterization performance of this car will be very good on some titles, but very bad in others. And so this discrepancy is where you are like, okay, is the card, is my system, what is the problem? And I don't think my system, which is 16 gigs of RAM and an i5 10400, is a bad test system, because what are you going to pair this with a 1300 series 900K? Of course not. Nobody's going to do that. The only case where I can see somebody doing that is because you edit videos, and this one has a very good AV1 encoder, and then you're saying, well, okay, I need that. That's what I care more. But I want the occasional gaming. That's good, because this is the best car for AV1 encoding and editing and so on in that regard. Even an A380 will be 380 will be more than enough for that. But that's one case I can see this car working for that purpose. But if you are buying for gaming, you're not going to pair this with the latest Ryzen 7 or anything like that. You're going to have a good enough CPU to be able to use it. So this is where things becomes tricky, because then the problem is that you have AMD cards like the 6600 and 6650 XT or the 6700 that you can get for a lot less. So this car, I believe, in the United States is around 290. Here in Europe is around 330 euros. So that makes the value proposition extremely difficult to recommend. There is no point where I can see, yes, you go and buy this card. Because if this card was around $249 or even $229 maybe, yes, I know it will be a very low, ridiculous price, and Intel will probably be losing money. But then, you can justify saying, well, I can deal with the problems that may arise on some titles because the price is so good that I am willing to do that. But if you can get for less a better raster card, then what's the point of buying Intel? And if you are so keen that you care about ray tracing, then you probably will want to put some more money and maybe get a 3060 or a 3060 Ti, which the 3060 also have 4 more gigs of VRAM than this card. Yes, it will be like $80 more, but that's my point. You are going to evaluate what you want, and as I said, I really think this car is even more powerful than the 3060 when it comes to ray tracing. And I think when it shines, it's even better than the 3060 in rasterization. But the problem is that for a user, you cannot be always wondering if your car is being limited by the power of the car or is a driver's problem. So in a year, this car may be very good value, and you will say, you know, I was right to buy this because it has improved so much, and now the performance is so good that it was a good investment. But that's a future guessing, and you can be guessing now how this car is going to behave. Okay, and believe me, I really want to love this car, and it's going to be part of my perpetual test because I really want to see this car doing better and Intel doing better. That I really want that, because a third competitor in the GPU space is very important for all of us. But at the moment, I don't have any way to tell you go and buy an Intel 750 for gaming. If you want to encode editing, this is a great car. AV1 encoder is amazing, it's super fast. I haven't tested that in this video, we are going to do it in the future. But for gaming, I don't see how to recommend it for that price. If you get it for less than €250, then yeah, I think then that will be a sweet spot where you can, you know, people will be able to say, okay, I want to, you know, just see how it goes. So, well, I really wanted to show a better light the car, but I think you can see in the videos that I showed before that there are some gleams of powerful geniality in this car, and I hope you know that you are able to get that from part of the videos, that there are very good things about it, but it's just not a point where I can recommend it, at least not for the price. If it costs to less than 250, yes, I would probably do, but at the moment, unfortunately, I cannot tell you it's going to be future-proof, because by the time this car gets good, it could cost a lot less, or the RDNA 7600 or 4050 NVIDIA could be out, and then, you know, this car will just be an old one. So I hope you like my my video. Well, you know, I will keep bringing more content about the ARC. I want to do some emulator and test, you know, PlayStation and so on, and see how it behaves, if it's good for some, like, you know, a high level emulation. Obviously anything like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 and stuff like that should work okay, but we are going to test it just to see, to be sure. Switch, Wii U and so on. So let's see how that goes. I hope you like this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.